Hey, good Saturday afternoon. I'm 13 News meteorologist Matt Standridge. We've had some rain and wind this morning. Kind of been in a break the past couple of hours, getting a quick breather. But we've got more storms developing right now, especially for some of our southern counties. We wanted to take a closer look at what you can expect for, let's say, the next 3 hours. Until 6 o'clock, we're still in this little bit of a storm window, especially south of Indianapolis. You can see some bigger thunderheads farther to the south and west, really, once you get close to Vincennes and Princeton and Evansville. They've got some really heavy rain. In fact, I went ahead and switched the radar to southwestern Indiana to get a closer look on some of these cells. But here's the thing. They're tracking to the northeast by about 60 miles per hour. They're moving pretty quickly. And so some of these storms I do think will be able to clip parts of the Bloomington area, Bedford, Seymour, at least the northern fringes. But the heart of these storms are likely to go into some of those far northern suburbs of Louisville. I mean, I'm talking outside Jeffersonville, really towards Austin, Scottsburg, Henryville for some of these bigger storms. We wanted to time out what we're expecting over the next few hours. Now, if some stuff turns severe, we're going to hop right back on. This is more of an update over. Let's kind of talk things out for the next 15 minutes or so, and then we'll come back on as the afternoon requires. But we've got some good rumbles of thunder and some lightning strikes farther off to the south, although not as many as we had with some of the storms early this morning. And we had several wind gusts from Vigo County all the way from Terre Haute right through Indianapolis. And then we had more of those wind gusts and damage reports across Madison County and Delaware County. And we had at times 15,000 power outages across parts of central Indiana, and some wind gusts that were topping 70 miles per hour in some locations. We've gotten a lot of pictures with some trampolines kind of flown into the neighbor's yard, a couple fences down in Brownsburg, power poles down in Madison County. We've kind of seen quite a bit. But we wanted to take a closer look at where these storms are headed, especially a little bit farther to the south. So let's go ahead and take a closer look on some of these storms as they're moving through parts of southern Indiana. So we're zooming south. I mean, we're talking about places like Pike County and Warwick County, there towards Vandenberg County. Here's Princeton. We had that EF1 tornado briefly for us, but a week or two ago now, storms crossing I-69. Now we've got a couple cells ahead of this. We've got a couple extra lightning strikes there just south and east of Jasper. That's headed towards Crawford County. Here's Crawford County down towards the south. But these storms are headed towards kind of Louisville north. So anyone between Columbus and Louisville will have the chance for some of these storms over the next hour or two. We think by 6 o'clock, all these storms are completely done. So what we're going to do, we'll zoom in on a couple of these storms eventually, but I wanted to kind of get an overall timing of these as they push off towards the north and east. Now, not all of them are moving at the same speed, so when I'm going to do a calculation, it's kind of a rough estimate. I'll go ahead and pause the radar too in order to do this right. But we've had speeds between 50 to 60 miles per hour, so I'm going to kind of estimate 55 just as an average speed. What we're going to do is we're going to time out some of these initial cells that are popping up where we've seen the clouds thin out just a little bit, trying to help warm the atmosphere up towards our south. So this is just south of Lawrence County into Orange County. Here's French Lick, and they're towards West Baden Springs. These storms are kind of right over the resorts, and the little bit stronger storms as you head farther south towards Crawford County and Perry County. But let's go ahead and do that storm track. I'm going to go ahead and make the line. Before I do that, let me move the map just a touch over. So we're really, southern half of Indiana is the zone. You live north of Indianapolis, just some scattered showers for the rest of the day, which is good news. We're getting a break now. Let's time out some of these initial cells that are firing up. Not a perfect line, but just kind of a rough estimate. Let's go 55 miles per hour. Let's time this out to the north and east. I'm going to expand this just a touch to get it basically to the state line or so. And then I'm going to put on a couple extra towns for us. I'll step to the side. All right, so we've got Salem. Let's see, there's Salem. And Seymour. Okay, Seymour, 323. Brownstown, 314. Here's Salem. Okay, 315 for Salem. Seymour, 323. Austin, 333. Scottsburg, 336. So a lot of these, are some of the last exits you have for the last 30, 45 minutes on 65 before you get to Louisville. Clarksville, 344. Here's LaGrange there, closer to 4 o'clock, and now we're talking about getting into parts of western Ohio there by 5 or 6 o'clock. But really, over the next hour or two, we're going to start to see some of these storms really cross over 65 and then head into southeastern Indiana, getting towards Batesville in Oldenburg here in just a little bit. So this is the initial round of storms. Kind of messy. It's not going to be just one line. We're getting some of these pop-ups in some of the warmer air that we've developed. And I'm going to show you some of the temperatures and dew points. We'll kind of look at why we're seeing these storms here and not in other places. Kind of showing you the full kind of weather setup, what we got for the rest of the afternoon. Just about 3 more hours of storms, then we're done. We're done for today. You might have some rain on and off the rest of the day, but storm-wise, we're done. So we've got this timing for these storms. Let's go ahead and clear that out. The main line, a little bit more juicy. It got some bigger winds on this line of storms. They're stretching kind of just south of the Wabash there all the way to Evansville. They're just trying to clear out downtown Evansville right now. We think these will also have a kind of northeast track. So French Lick, West Baden Springs, maybe in parts of Lawrence County and Jackson County, we could get clipped. Indianapolis area, I don't think we're going to get these storms. These are too far to the south. We've got a lot of rain in between Bloomington, Martinsville, to Indy, helping cool the atmosphere down, and so that should kind of protect us right now. We kind of have that cutoff there towards the southern portions of Knox County. Here's Knox County, so kind of southern Knox County is where we have that cutoff, and we'll continue that cutoff kind of in a line like this. So we'll still watch places like parts of Decatur County, there towards Seymour and Greensburg. Here's Decatur County, and then maybe even clipping the south end of Brookville Lake if it can hold. So let's time that out. I'll clear this one out, and we'll create a new line. This one will get a little bit closer to the actual line itself. There we go. Okay. Once again, between 50 to 60 miles per hour. It was at 60, and it's kind of slowed down just a touch. Let's kind of play this out, and I'm going to extend this too. Let's see. Let's do the next. That'll do it. Maybe go back just a touch. All right, about the next hour and a half or so. I'll step to the side. So Boonville there, east of Evansville, 316, Jasper 328. Here's Salem again, kind of hitting again. We've got some cells around us already that we just tracked, but that main line not coming into Salem until about 424-ish, 430-ish, Seymour, North Vernon 446, Scottsburg 447, and then you get to some of these southeastern towns, Madison 517, and then towards Charleston 503. So notice that the line is here by about 503, 515. We're really out of Indiana, possibly even as early as 5:30, 5:40, but let's just say 6 o'clock. From now until 6 o'clock, we'll have some thunderstorms here towards the south. So let's go ahead and take this track off, and I want to talk a little bit more about the weather setup and what we're kind of seeing out there right now. So I go ahead and just kind of wide view of the radar. This is more of a composite view, so it's not as crystal and crisp and clear there on some of these defined features of the storms, but it gives us an overall look. So here's the state of Indiana. Notice all the action is in central and southern Indiana, but the main storm's definitely in southern Indiana. What they've had is this upscale growth. They're raining pretty hard with some thunderstorms, and not quite severe. They're just below severe status right now. There's not a watch or anything, but we just want to give you an update because it's a busy weekend out there across Indiana. We've got a lot of things to do. It's Easter weekend, and upscale growth means you've got bigger storms to the south, and they're throwing their rain shields, their rain bands off to the north and cooling us down. So we were a little bit safer there in Indy and Brownsburg to Terre Haute and Brazil, Greenfield, all the way north and east to Muncie. And Lafayette, we're kind of cut out now. In fact, we may not get much rain over the next couple of hours. We've got this rain shield over us cooling us down. So if we kind of drew things out maybe just a little bit, let me go ahead and I'll switch back to this view so I can draw on it. I can't draw on the other one. But if we kind of had two different zones that we're watching, this is how it would probably play out. So I would say, here's this line. We could continue to watch it move northeast, maybe even clip parts of Union County there towards Liberty. But this is the line that we're watching. And notice after this, there's not much. Anything that could try to develop would be pretty weak. It'd probably just be some scattered rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, but we think the severe threat is over once this line moves out and crosses in toward probably Cincinnati area, maybe just south of Cincinnati as it moves just to the north and east like this, kind of going right over the Ohio River here shortly. And then we've got the other zone. Well, let's put it in a different color. Let's put it in maybe a light blue, just kind of really show the difference between the two. There it goes. Okay. So we got this. Oopsies. Let me hit blue. There we go. All right. So we've got the rest of the rain kind of right in this area. So north of the yellow zone, we've got this little blue zone. This is the area over the next 3 hours, maybe 4, 5, 6 hours. I mean, you see rain kind of passing off just to the south and west that's going to feed into this zone. If you live in the blue area, so from Richmond to Indy to Terre Haute to Greencastle and Crawfordsville, even Bloomington, we're kind of on the edge. I think Bloomington's mainly going to be okay. We got some good rain around us. We're just getting this rain-cooled air continually over us, so that could keep us a little bit safer, while some of these storms could potentially be severe at any time. They're just below severe status with some 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts or so. You need 58 technically to be a severe thunderstorm. So we're just kind of below that severe risk. So let's go ahead and play just a few things out. We've got that line that we're tracking. Kind of look like it's growing just a little bit right now. And so that would play into the fact that we are warmer to the south and we haven't been worked over as much. In fact, because it is warm, it's juicy out there to the south, we've got more of these extra cells that have been popping up too. But cooler, cloudier, and just rainier there towards the Indianapolis area. We're looking pretty good farther to the north. We've already picked up. You can see where the rain has already fallen. We've already gotten inch and a half in some places. Where you see the yellow color, we're starting to estimate about 2 inches. Remember, overall for the weekend, we're expecting 1.5 inches to up to 2.5, maybe 3 in a couple spots, because we've still got more rounds to go. We got a little bit of rain tomorrow. We got more rain Sunday night, Easter Sunday night. And then I think we're done for a couple days. I think we'll take a quick breather. But where we've already picked up a lot of the rain in these green colors, that's where we're safer. That includes Fishers and Carmel and Zionsville, Greenwood and Franklin and Martinsville. We're looking pretty good because we've already gotten some rain. Lebanon, Anderson, Noblesville too, and Newcastle and Muncie. But where you get more of these kind of bluish colors, that's where we've had less rain. In fact, we've had the skies clearing out temporarily in some spots. And so that's allowed this next line to kind of form and foster a little bit farther to the south. So outside the green zone, you've got a couple storm chances that we're watching. And the reason why we're even getting these storms is we've got the system sitting right over us. It's a stationary front. It's like train tracks for all these different storm clusters coming on through, and it's just train car after train car, cluster after cluster. So the cluster that we have right now, definitely stronger south of this stationary front. Look how it's kind of over Indy. Really, this is the southern half, or really even the southern third of the state, getting in on some of these storms where it's a little bit warmer. You get on the other side of the front, we're a lot cooler. The dew points, the moisture is a little bit lower. It still kind of feels sticky out there, but definitely even stickier and more humid farther to the south, and that's where the storm risk will continue for the next couple of hours. Here's a little bit closer view. That stationary front technically just south of downtown Indianapolis, kind of right over the University of Indianapolis, and there towards Southport and Greenwood is where it's technically located. But there's that line. Don't be surprised if we get a couple more warnings over the course of the afternoon for the next 2 or 3 hours for southern Indiana. Look at the big difference in temperatures. This also kind of tells a story too. Where temperatures are getting close to 70 degrees, we are still kind of on the lookout. Now we'll see, technically you see the 70s, Shelbyville and Richmond. I do think some of the scattered showers that are cooling off in Bloomington should move over us, could help us out, but we're still just kind of on a little bit more of a watch right now, right on the edge there towards Richmond and Centerville, to Connorsville, to Rushville, to Shelbyville. So watch. Columbus a little bit warmer, Bedford warmer. I think most of them will be south of Bloomington, but Bedford, we're kind of in that area that we're watching for that storm zone to come on through, that line that's developing to the south. So it's warm. It's also more humid the farther south you go. Once you're in the dew points with the low 60s, you've got a better chance for storms. So you see a lot of 50s, a little bit cool for a dew point. So get storms, but really they're more supportive with the 60s. And so they see the 61 in Bedford, and that's why that focus is farther to the south, only 57 for that dew point there in Indy. Nice southwest winds farther to the south as well, a little bit more just directly west in Indy and Greencastle and Brownsburg and Avon. That westerly wind continues into Wayne counties and Henry County as well. So west wind with the southwest wind, I think that boundary kind of cuts off between where you see the switchover. And so that's generally south of Indianapolis. So we're watching that. Here's the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. You got the storm zones. They're a little bit more expansive than what we've been talking about, just kind of for safety reasons, just in case. The yellow zone is really the area that we're kind of watching, and they've even have it extending through Martinsville, the Arties, there towards the Woodman and Greenwood, and even Shelbyville, the Golden Bears. We're kind of included that into the Richmond Red Devils as well. But We really think the heart of the zone is just a little bit farther south where we're already seeing that line kind of develop. So here's how things play out. Until 6 o'clock, we're watching these thunderstorms. We're going to hop on and off as needed as we watch some of these storms develop to the south. Of course, at 6 o'clock, we'll have our newscast, and we'll hopefully by then be watching these rain and thunderstorms really push out. The severe ones pushing out of Indiana and just tracking some leftover showers for the rest of the evening, at least on and off and kind of scattered. Not everyone getting rain, but some of us definitely getting some rain. Then for tomorrow, for Easter Sunday, finally made it. We had Good Friday yesterday. Now we're into Saturday. Easter Sunday tomorrow. I think there's going to be some scattered showers, especially in the morning. Now, technically, there's not a 0% goose egg chance any time during the day. There's still about a 10 or 20% chance in the afternoon, but I think some of us could even see maybe a few breaks in the clouds, maybe a quick ray of sun as temperatures are trying to warm up. But we've got a lot of 60s and some showers in the morning, so at least it's not a cold start. We were looking back, and on average, our Easter Sundays have a high of 60. So starting off in those 60s, not bad. Warmer Easter overall. Best chance for a shower will be in the morning as we're headed to maybe a sunrise service or maybe one of the later services, and then you're getting lunch with the family. If you're trying to do an Easter egg roll outside, or Easter egg hunt, and you're saying, hey, I'm not doing inside, they're going outside. I don't care how muddy it is, they're going outside. You might be able to do it in the afternoon, but just remember that the lawn is still probably going to be soaked depending on where you live and how much rainfall you picked up. But you maybe be able possibly to do it. Just get the Tide and Clorox ready afterwards to kind of wash everything down. But the best chance of rain will be in the morning. Then there is one final round with this whole storm system. So just for today, we're talking about storms through about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then we're done for today. But we're not done for the whole Easter weekend. For Easter Sunday in the morning, we're not really expecting anything severe, mainly just some scattered showers. There could be a downpour or a rumble of thunder for sure. But then I think the storm threat for Sunday, and we're technically not in a severe zone, the upper levels are not really well aligned for us. That's good. But there could be some stronger thunderstorms, maybe not quite severe, but some stronger downpours and some gusty winds coming in after sunset. And we really think even after 10 or 11 o'clock for your Sunday Easter in the late evening hours heading in past midnight and into Monday. So it's going to be another night where you may hear some rumbles of thunder trying to wake up to start your Monday. And then on Monday morning, thunderstorms until 8, maybe a couple of showers after that. And I think the afternoon we'll have clearing skies, and maybe we'll end the day with a little bit of sun. And then we've got a few days to kind of take a break. But the last round of storms will be coming through for your Sunday 11 o'clock through the morning hours on Monday. So let's play everything out. Here is 6 o'clock this evening. There's that line of storms, kind of simulating them close to the Ohio-Indiana state line. They're towards Cincinnati and northern Kentucky. Getting them out of here, the severe threat is then done. We may still have some scattered showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder throughout the rest of the evening. We'll track them, but I think we're pretty good. This last round should really overwork the atmosphere and kind of take up any energy that's still left over. And we've got more of that energy farther to the south. We've kind of used it already towards central Indiana, where we've already had a lot of gusty winds this morning and already some damage and some power outages. It was a rough morning for some of us with those gusty winds. Lindsay Monroe is tracking those all morning with you. Then here's Easter morning, 7 o'clock. Waking up for your Sunday service. Maybe you're headed to see some family, get some breakfast with family, some brunch. We'll have some more scattered showers coming out there. They're going to be scattered. You know, not everyone's getting rain constantly all morning. It'll be kind of on and off. Here's 11 o'clock, some of the final late services starting. We may still have some rain across the area, but then everything kind of pushes to the north. In fact, we get that stationary front we were talking about kind of lifts to the north just temporarily, should help us warm up. I think we've got some 60s heading into the 70s throughout the afternoon. And then notice, if you've got a real keen eye, you see the clouds hanging over us, but notice how we've got a couple kind of gray indentions. What we're really kind of focusing on here will be, I think, some scattered sun breaks throughout the day. You know, I don't think we're going to turn clear or anything like that, but the sky may thin out just enough that you see a few rays of sun. So that'd be nice for Easter Sunday. We'll get those out of here, and then later into the evening, you're starting to see more rain and thunderstorms develop over Illinois. That's where they have a higher severe risk. We actually don't have a severe risk here for Sunday night, but we'll start to see some of those storms cross the state line there late into the night, really after 11 o'clock. And for many of us, it may not even get here until 2 o'clock in the morning Monday. that will be our final round that we'll be watching. So let's go ahead and kind of wrap things up. I do want to take you back to radar. Future Track 13 kind of showed us the timing of a few things throughout the rest of the weekend. But here's live Doppler 13 showing you where those storms are. And just over the past kind of 5 minutes as we've been talking, these storms have definitely grown quite a bit farther to the south. So let's clear some of these colors off and take a closer look, and then we'll wrap things up. But we just kind of wanted to give you an overall look on what's happening out there for this afternoon. We're keeping a very close eye for places like Lawrence County, Jackson County, so anywhere from Bedford to the Seymour Owls. We're kind of right on the edge, but most of those storms are a little bit stronger just to our south towards Scottsburg and Austin and Henryville, and there towards some of the Memphis as well. They're one of the exits before you get to Louisville. That's where we got a couple extra downpours, because remember, it's a lot warmer down here. We haven't been worked over yet. We've already been worked over. So we've kind of got this line that is developed. I don't remember what color. This might still be a blue color, which will be fine. But let's go ahead and kind of draw this line. This is kind of a line we're thinking overall. We may have to move this a little bit, but north of this line, so Bloomington, kind of Columbus right on the edge, we're watching, and the Greensburg Pirates we're watching too. Here's Brookville. North of this line, I think are going to be mostly okay. You know, we've got some rain and maybe some rumbles of thunder, and it's going to have some downpours with it. But cooler air is helping keep us protected. South of this line is where we've got more of these downpours and thunderstorms that have developed. And this one is the main line that's been charging for the past, I would say 2-3 hours now. But these are some newer cells, and they also have a little bit more lightning. That's a sign of some growth. So we may have a couple different rounds of some of these storms for southern Indiana. So we're watching there towards Louisville and some of the northern suburbs of Louisville, New Albany, Jeffersonville, Clarksville, Sellersburg. But here's Salem getting some of those downpours as well. It looks like that line's just about to come through Jasper. Let me go ahead and take the line off. Let's take a closer look. Here's Jasper. Yep. There we go. We got that line, Huntingburg as well. There along 231, going right through Jasper. That's where we've got that line. A little bit of a sharp edge to this, showing you some gusty wind potential. I believe we can go ahead and maybe even show you some of the velocities out there. Nothing crazy. That's good. Kind of looks worse on radar than it may actually be from a wind perspective, but still some gusty winds here along the leading edge. Some lightning a little bit farther to the south. We've kind of got this parameter where we can try to look at just in the lightning. See kind of the groups there. It's just south of west of Jasper. And you got a couple more headed towards Salem and eventually towards Austin and Scottsburg. But that's kind of what we're tracking. We'll watch these, but these are mainly south of the Indianapolis viewing area, which that's what we mainly cover. But we've got a lot of friends and family across the state. We also have a lot of Hoosiers that are just traveling across the state to go see those family members. So we want to give you an update on what we're looking and seeing for the rest of the afternoon. We'll wrap things up here on a bit of a loop, chat for a second, and then we'll continue coverage throughout the afternoon as needed here on WTHR Plus. We appreciate you joining us. But let me go ahead and switch this over. There we go. Okay. So once again, I'm not using the Indianapolis radar. In fact, I'm using southwestern Indiana. See, the radar starts there. Reason why the storms are stronger to the south, mainly just some scattered showers towards Indianapolis. But there's a heavier batch of rain coming in through Bloomington and Ellettsville. Here's Owen County. So Spencer getting some good rain. Mooresville, Monrovia, the rain looks like it's about to pick up for you. And this will come into Indy, especially Indy. Downtown, south, if you got the Pacers game, we might hear it rain just a little bit more. We're up at halftime, so I don't have the latest score with me, but we have some of the heavier rain coming towards Indy. We could get kind of soaked as we're trying to leave Gamebridge, hopefully after a big win against the Bucks. But the main storm threat remains to our south. We're watching these storms. They could have some gusty winds, no watch or anything like that, but there is a chance that every once in a while, one of these cells, or a couple of them, could try to turn severe. But the main thing I want you to know is 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock is the time frame when the severe storms are done with Indiana. We may even be done by 5:30, but let's say 6, getting towards Cincinnati, then it's Ohio's problem throughout the rest of the day. But 6 o'clock, we're done, and then we'll just watch some scattered showers throughout the rest of the day. So as soon as we start our newscast at 6, tune in, check me on it, and tune in and see kind of where everything is. We appreciate your time and watching the storms with us. We've had some bigger storms across central Indiana. I know Jenny is working on getting some more damage reports. We'll have some more of that information in our 6 o'clock newscast, kind of recapping what happened this morning with the gusty winds that were coming on through. There's some good cells and some some upgraded severe thunderstorm warnings because the winds were really intense. We could have had some gusts above 80 miles per hour at times for some folks. So we'll be having a recap on that. We appreciate your time. Make sure you keep it here, keep it local, and as always, we'll keep you advised.